movies and TV shows, comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast, finally. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
Pre-show rambling, people.
I can tell you there was no gold. There was no
sometimes
gold.
it's just pre-show.
It's just pre-show. It's not always gold. It's just like, I need to... If you knew the behind-the-scenes process, I should start the show with where we start. At the clap, and then we'll leave all the other shit in.
With I think second or third time I edited, I left our pre-clap conversation in there. So,
Hey, follow up from last week's show, by the way. A friend of mine who listens sent me a text and said, back to the topic we did last week, he said, the song Twist and Shout, he can't hear that song anymore without immediately thinking of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think there's a bunch of songs that you can't hear.
Yeah.
Without thinking of that movie.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, as we said, there's like that song, which I can't think of the name of, and I probably never knew the name of, but the Ferris Bueller thing that.
Oh, yeah.
People keep trying to use that, and it's just like every time I hear it, it's like, oh, no, it's the song from
It's in a lot of movies. I wonder how many movies.
Yeah,
and
it's just,
but
it's
like, by Yellow.
It's like, are you, right, yes. And I said, are you trying to, have that little affinity thing there, or are you trying to take people out of your movie? And that's always the question.
Yeah, exactly. This week, another movie, or a movie, The Batman, as promised. Opened last week. Daryl, there will be spoilers, just so you know.
Yeah, letting you know now. Yep. We'll say it again when we get to that part of the show, but...
Yeah, but warning. Daryl wants us to say it and then tell him when. So... You can still listen. If we forget to tell you again, that you're on your own.
Yeah.
But we'll do that.
As Obi-Wan once said to Anakin, you have done this to yourself.
Yes.
How has he done this to himself?
If he continues to listen after we said there's going to be spoilers, he's done it to himself.
He clearly blames you.
He does.
As he reiterated
no question on that,
for
Barry.
the second time.
He completely blames you.
I can't wait until Handmaid's Tale starts up again. I'm going to spoil every episode for Daryl.
Yeah, you do that.
And that's the thing that he's pissed off about. I couldn't even remember what it was. It was the Handmaid's Tale.
I'll never forget. Yes. I'll never forget.
Oh, my God. Anyway, let's go some random. Barry, Todd, what do you got?
Hey, it seems as though a Kenobi trailer is just a few days away. So... There's
is it going to be in football again?
I have no idea, but it's either
there's no more football.
To a couple different sources, it's either the 8th or the 9th. So
really,
we'll see. I may be completely wrong, but I read it a couple different places, and
when's the Academy Awards? It's not until April, I think.
Yeah, I would have thought that they would have waited for some type of event to release that.
That's what I'm thinking. I wonder.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways,
unless they wait till April.
It is rumored to be on either the 8th or the 9th. And before Barry grabs 15 other things, because he's got 15 other things.
See, and I thought that might be, maybe it's a teaser. Maybe the full trailer is
not
coming.
very well be. It could very well be. But the other thing is there is a new Alien film. Anybody else have this?
That was one of mine. Go for it.
Okay, good. You can add to it. Ridley Scott producing, Evil Dead director Fede Alvarez set to write and helmet. This is the thing that I guess both interests me and excites me. While it's set in the same universe as Alien and Aliens, it will tell a different story in a different corner of the universe and has no connection whatsoever to the previous films. Which now, have we ever heard this before? I think we have heard this before.
Covenant, the other one?
You got Prometheus, Covenant.
It doesn't touch Prometheus or Covenant.
But
which,
could you do it 3 times? Could you throw that story out there 3 times and get away with it? I don't think so. So hopefully this will be a different Alien story in a different corner of the universe, and and not be laden down with trying to shoehorn it into the same narrative.
I just hate to say this. I almost wish Ridley Scott wasn't involved at this point.
I feel the same way. I'd like to see that Neil Blomkamp one, or is that the one?
Yeah, well, that's not the one they're making, but I wish
it's not. Yeah, that one is interesting. I hope if it's ever like, it's probably conclusive. It's not going to happen, but it'd be great if they released that as a comic or something, because that's a story
that would be.
I think would be
the
interesting.
Best we're going to get, I think, at this point. But you know, I love the design of the alien character. I love the first two movies. You know, I wanted to like the rest of them so much, and I didn't. But I don't know. It's like Ridley Scott needs to let this go to somebody else more capable. And I don't say that as like he's an amazing director. Don't get me wrong, but his
last two outings have not been good.
Yeah, he's just not.
Aliens
this isn't
outings.
his. He's just not good anymore. So with this,
yeah. No, it would be a great thing to hand off to somebody that's gonna, you know. And again, we're gonna get a TV series too, so it'll be interesting.
Like he did with Jim Cameron on the second. Like, you know, he handed it off, and that movie was amazing.
And that is the other thing too. It's like, I think what needs to happen is somebody needs to do that kind of radical change of direction, where it's almost a completely different genre. You know, and
it could be a love story.
Yeah, could be a love story. Yeah,
Alien and Predator.
Aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all I got.
Barry. Okay, Barry. What else? What do you got? I don't think you have anything. I have mine's sort of
probably not. I've just got a couple quick ones, I think. So I know we talked about Indy 5 Wrapped. James Mangold was saying on Twitter that he officially starts editing today. And that it'll be a little bit of a wait for trailers or teasers. But I guess he's been editing as he shoots, but now he says he officially starts editing. Today is March 7th, and he said that today. So, all right.
He's got a while. So.
Yeah, he's got a lot of time because it doesn't come out till next May, I think. Next summer.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we mentioned this or not, or if this is new news, but... So there's going to be a sequel to I Am Legend that Michael B. Jordan is going to be in along with Will Smith. I don't really remember a whole lot about I Am Legend, but didn't Will Smith's character die at the end of it? He blew up or something?
When does that mean anything?
I know, but it's like, how is it a sequel? I mean, unless he's going to be like Dexter's sister and dad, and he's not really there, but like...
Yeah, it'd be kind of hard in that he was pretty much the only character, so it's like...
Yeah, I mean...
We'll see. I don't know. I wanted to like that movie, but as soon as you kill a German Shepherd, I can't like it.
It's like this... Sorry. It's again, my problem with John Wick, but... so it's kind of like... kind of like a Sixth Sense mashup. He goes through the entire second movie not knowing that he's dead. And it's like,
Yeah, we'll see what they do with that, but who knows? I feel like zombies are kind of over.
Yeah, me too.
Who knows?
I have a couple of other quick hits if you want me to just go through them rapid fire, if you want to jump in and do yours.
I'll throw in something weird that just has nothing to do. So apparently Jon Favreau only signed on to do one season of The Mandalorian and then renegotiated quite a deal afterwards. So good for him. It's nice to sort of do something, it's a big hit, and then you have a big payday. So it sounds like he really made quite the deal afterwards. So
again, that
well deserved.
That company cannot pay him enough money. Okay, so
just like Kevin Feige, they cannot pay him enough money.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm saying between the two of them, it's like, let him do whatever he wants and pay him whatever he wants.
Yeah, except for Boba Fett. But
he wrote all of that, by the way.
I know.
I'm not mentioning that again. I'm done with
it. Which I thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, Todd, you sent us that link today to the.
I did not see it online. No, I'm not. I'm over it.
I'm just saying. I watched that whole 9-minute thing and thought it was funny, but don't agree with it.
Okay.
Anyway, what else you got?
Okay, couple quick ones. So apparently, Disney Plus is going to be creating a TV series around Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. They're giving them a Muppets a TV series around the band, which I think that's a fantastic idea. Love that part. So next, and this one's for Todd more than me, but the Batman series that HBO Max was doing, the Gotham PD, they are apparently putting that on hold, and they're going to shift focus to like an Arkham series.
Yes. Yep.
So
yeah,
there's also
I skipped that story because it was like something they said they were going to do and haven't done in favor of something else that seems like a better idea. I was kind of hoping.
I thought it was well into development.
That's what I was saying.
I'd been hearing about this for a while.
I was very disappointed when I read that because I was expecting it was going to be like Peacemaker. Where
right on the heels of the movie.
Not that far after the movie, this thing would pop up and we just, have more time in the universe. No, it was, yeah. So.
That doesn't sound interesting anyway compared to, well, I mean, it was almost like Gotham. Gotham was that, wasn't it?
Yeah, somewhat, yeah. It
was centered around the police department.
There's a really good comic I mentioned called Gotham Central that was basically a police procedural in Gotham City, and which I would tell you it's not a good place to be if you're a cop. So, it's just, But there's been a series of Arkham Asylum games that I think that's the whole idea. I mean, it's going to be more. There's places they can go with it. I am less interested in this than I was the Gotham Centralist thing. So we'll see.
All right, my last one. I think Todd, I know you've read this book. I don't know if you have, Dave. Three Body Problem.
Yes.
So they're apparently making a series out of this. The Game of Thrones guys, Benioff and Weiss, are making a series based on this book.
I did not read that.
Yeah, I just read it today.
I heard that.
I knew it was optioned for a movie, or it was optioned, and I thought they were going to make a movie out of it. I thought that was a horrible mistake.
It went to you couldn't tell this in a movie. It would have to be longer than the Batman.
Probably the longest novel I've ever read.
Yeah, and it takes place over the longest period of time, right?
Oh, it's crazy long, but it's actually it's 3 books, and it's even if they do 3 books of astronomical length, but it takes place over a huge period of time, and it's a great story, though I would say it's for Western readers, it's a little hard to read because basically 3/4 of the characters are Chinese, and many of the names sound very, very similar, and you'll be like, it's. I know somebody who kept the Wikipedia page bookmarked. And whenever they got confused, they went back and looked who the characters were.
Figure out who is who.
Because you have like a father and a daughter whose names are very, very similar, and whatnot. It does get confusing. So, but it's a great story. It's an absolute story.
It's being done for Netflix, so there's going to be money behind it for sure. And he says, let's see, what did he say here? He said it's very different from Game of Thrones, but in the same general zone. And he said the high school set film he wrote. No, okay, that's. He says it's a science fiction show that is painted on a very large canvas of space and time. So there you go.
And I wonder whether this is going to have a principally Chinese cast because 95% of the characters were Chinese in the story. So are they going to westernize the whole thing, or?
Oh, if they do, they'll get vilified.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, it's going to be that's going to be tough to do. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Again, fantastic story, absolutely great story, but I put it in the foundation category of being very, very hard to adapt.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I know we've talked about a number of things recently that were hard to adapt, and some of them have been done well and some of them haven't. So, and I work with a guy who swears by Foundation. He says it's the greatest show. So
really,
there's an audience for it.
Oh, there is, yeah.
A really small audience for it, but they're out there.
3-body problem, basically all these telescopes we got pointed at space that are sending signals out there, somebody gets a signal and answers and says, "Thank you for telling us where you are. We are now coming to take over your planet. We'll be there in approximately 120 years. Thank you." Okay. And so they have got 120 years to plan. But this alien race can see everything they do. They're intercepting every signal, and so they've got to basically create a plan to stop them. while being completely observed. And it's like I said, it's a great story, and it's multi-generational. But like I said, I can't see either doing it without a Chinese cast or doing this anything other than like 2 or 3 seasons. So, yep.
Oh, we'll see. Look, those guys were great until they weren't great.
Until they weren't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
boy, if anyone has learned a lesson, they should have.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I hope so.
So
you thought
if not, this will be great. I'll write up until the end, and it'll just go off the rails. So
yeah, you did like the book.
Yeah, very much.
You know who I like very much? Family Collectibles.
I knew I was getting teed up. Okay. Yes.
I like them very much too.
There you go. Yeah, there's no words there. We're working. Couple of Hot Toys Batman things. Hot Toys Batman from the Batman. Batman and Bat Signal, and a deluxe Batman. Those are things that you want to buy. And you know what they got? They got Hot Toys, and they got Pops, and they got Sideshow, and they got Kotobukias, and they got everything you need, really. The store is in Newtown, Connecticut. You can get there if you drive. Or you can check them out online, fanboycollectibles.com. Tell them the regular Joes sent you. Okay, let's go what's in the box. We're going to mix it up a little bit.
Show you with the box. Who's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Regular Joe's What's in the Box.
Todd, what's in the box?
So, my second favorite cartoon in the 1990s was Gargoyles. Evan and I love this show, and this figure came out a couple months ago from NECA, and very, very cool. And this is Goliath, pretty much the main character. It's pretty freaking huge, and it's got a big ass wingspan, and the wings. It's tons of joints. You can put in a lot of positions, and very, very accurate. And comes with a couple heads and a couple hands and a few different accessories, including the book that he's holding right there. Have either of you seen any of Gargoyles?
No.
Okay, so Gargoyles was basically, the premise was back in the day, like medieval times, gargoyles existed alongside humans, and they would protect humans at night and turn to stone during the day, and humans had to protect them. And so it was like kind of symbiotic relationship, and then they were betrayed and only like revived again in the 20th century. But whole chunk of the cast from the Next Generation was in this. Marina Sirtis, Jonathan Frakes, Michael Dorn, Nichelle Nichols was in a couple episodes. It was Colin Meaney, Michael Dorn, Brent Spiner, Paul Winfield, David Warner, Patrick Stewart never showed up, but it was a very, very cool show. Edward Asner was a regular character.
Boy, somebody was a big Trek fan in the casting department, I guess. What's
that?
Somebody must have been a big Trek fan in the casting department.
Yeah, and again they but it's one of these things where it's John Rhys Davies was in the cast, Laura San Giacomo, Clancy Brown, a lot of big people for a cartoon, which is ostensibly for kids. Very kind of grown up though for its time. I mean, characters died and stayed dead, and it was really cool. Anyway, so
unlike I Am Legend, apparently
there's a lot of unlike I Am Legend. So there's a lot of kind of renewed interest in it recently, and so they released this figure, and if they do more, I'll probably get a couple more. There's a crazy rainstorm going on right here. I don't know
here too.
Okay. But like
we just got thunderstorm.
I'm having a hard time hearing you guys over the howling of the wind. So,
jeez. Yep. Barry, what's in the box?
You guys know I'm a sucker for certain things, and Star Wars playsets is no exception. So this is the Navarro Cantina playset they just put out from The Mandalorian, from season 1 of The Mandalorian. This was that bar that they kind of had their last stand in, if you remember. Mm-hmm. I'm just showing you the box because I have already opened it and taken pictures with it, so I kind of put back in the box for the moment. But I got this when they first announced it just because I thought it would be a good way to display my vintage style Mandalorian figures that came out last year. So haven't set that up yet, but I did take some pictures to post on Instagram if we're still doing that. But
I don't know if we are.
It's kind of cool because it's kind of a mixture of, I mean, it's a lot of it's plastic, but like the door in here in this doorway is a piece of cardboard that's got a door printed on it, and then the frame behind the window is reversible, so you can either have it as like battle damage, like after the battle, or you flip it over and it looks like before the battle. And then it's got a ton of like little accessories. It's got like decanters and glasses and bottles and stuff. It's got stools. It's actually a pretty cool little playset. And like the last couple they've done, it's modular. So if you get more than one of these, which I won't, but if you did, you could actually build out a bigger display because the way the wall, the pieces connect together. So very well done.
Does it have a little ice cream maker?
It does not have an ice cream maker, but it does come with a carded Death Trooper on a vintage style card in addition to the playset. So, great for setting up figures. I mean, I like these kind of like not huge playsets, but good for displays. I mean, we didn't talk about it, but a couple weeks ago they put up for sale a Jabba's Palace playset. I don't know if either of you guys saw that.
We didn't.
It wasn't a HasLab thing.
It wasn't?
No, it's just put it up for sale.
It's a Pulse thing.
It's a Hasbro Pulse thing. Yeah, I don't remember if we talked about it or not, but that's huge, and that's like a very large commitment. This is something that you could literally stick in the back of a display case and just use as an accent for your figure. So, anyway, that's what I got. Dave, what's in the box?
Cool. Well, mine didn't come in a box; it came in a bag. But I have the Batman T-shirt from the new movie, The Batman. Since we did not get them at the premiere, did we mention that? But Warner sent me this in the mail, so that was nice. Probably because we attended. So
nice that they did that. Cool. I didn't get one.
No, I'm joking. I bought it from Hot Topic.
I didn't get one.
I was like, Barry's face was like, I didn't get one.
This is actually kind of cool. This is the Hot Topic exclusive, but what's cool about this is you can get it in 5 different colors.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm sick of another black T-shirt. So and you can see you have his sort of profile here, but it comes in like black and gray and blue and red. The red was actually cool. One other color. So I figured, you got to have
gray.
A shirt
it was black,
from at least every
black,
Batman
blue,
movie.
red, green, gray. So
I don't think it was green.
No.
But anyway, but
cool.
It's nice to not, most shirts are black. So
yeah, it's hard to avoid black shirts. They're everywhere.
This is a Hot Topic online exclusive. I haven't bought stuff from there too much, but they have a ton of Batman stuff. And Puma's coming. Did we mention that? Puma's coming out with sneakers and stuff from the movie, which is weird. They're not out yet, and the movie's out. Like, why would you not put things out before the movie, or at least the same day? I don't understand that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on in merchandising these days. I mean, Star Wars has been terrible about putting out things a year after the property drops. Like,
yeah. But here's sort of a new thing. If you want to capitalize
one way or another. And I think the production schedules are probably, manufacturing schedules probably been messed up by that. So,
yeah, but at least put it up to announce what they are. I don't get. But
when I was in Target this weekend, I texted you guys. There was a ton of Batman toys, and almost like, my first thought was, and we'll talk about the movie, but like this isn't a movie for kids, but yet there's a ton of toys out there because it's an excuse to put out new Batman merchandise. So,
yeah, there's the red one. Yeah. And the black one's cool because the black one, I think all this black, you're not seeing it, but has a red outline.
Oh, okay.
To sort of separate it from the black.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
Todd, I saw the Diecast Batmobile and I resisted. I'm like, I'm gonna buy this because I'm programmed. No, I think it was Hot Wheels.
Oh, interesting.
Is it what size?
What size is it?
It was an odd size. It was maybe 3.5 inches long or 4 inches long. It was
get that. How much could that have been?
No, it wasn't that it was expensive. It's that I'm programmed to buy these things as I see them, and then 6 months later, go, why did I buy this? So I'm trying hard not to do that anymore.
The Jada ones, there's a 1/32 scale, 1/24 scale, and then a 1/18 scale, and they're, for whatever reason, they're going for crazy money right now. The vendors that had them on Amazon, they were like $22, $23. They just shot up to $49.
And I would get the a 3.5 inch one for sure. That would be
Yeah, it was like on Hot
Just
Wheels
pull the
card style. I mean, I think it was
Yeah,
Hot
like
Wheels.
the
Maybe it
big,
wasn't,
like the
but-
big Hot Wheels car.
Yeah.
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 I would get that. That's cool.
The 132nd is basically the size of the Eagle Moss Batmobiles. Okay. So that's a good size. And
Yeah.
I'll get one that size, and I'll also get the 124th because I have all the Jada ones at 124th. And someday I will take them out. So
there you go. Okay, that's what's in the box. All right, let's talk the Batman. Daryl, there's going to be spoilers.
going to be spoilers, Daryl.
This is where you want to
Roughly
shut the show off, Daryl. Or
26 minutes, and
Except-
anyone else who cares.
Yes, except that you're in it now. So it made $128.5 million. In its opening weekend.
$134 million.
Ooh, it
We
went up.
updated
The
those
number I
figures,
saw was
yeah.
128.
So it's right behind Spider-Man for during the pandemic or post-pandemic box office. So it's doing well. Doing very well, as a matter of fact. And that says a lot for its running time is listed as 2 hours and 56 minutes. That is a long movie.
A 3-hour tour. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it felt like 3 hours to me. It didn't. I mean, I've seen 3 hour
did
movies
feel like
that
3
go
hours.
by and you're like, oh my God, that was 3 hours. But it felt like 3 hours to me.
Yeah. I would say it didn't feel... Well, I've been...
We haven't talked about it.
We have not spoken about this at all.
Just so you know.
Okay, so we haven't even given initial reaction. I will say I was conscious of the time, and I will say this. There's one scene, I think I talked about this a few episodes ago, that they released online that was a 5.5 minute long scene. It was the church scene where the car drive, during the funeral service, and they gave us this 5.5 minute uninterrupted scene where Bruce Wayne says nothing, but other people talk to him and he listens to other people. And it was just a bizarre thing to release this 5 minute scene from the movie. And I was so effing grateful because I ran to the bathroom knowing that
funny.
I wasn't going to miss anything in those 5 minutes.
Now, I heard on a podcast that I listened to, a movie podcast, one of the hosts of that show has now seen it twice. And he said upon second viewing, it felt longer to him.
Wow.
Because he was more conscious of the places where they probably could have trimmed than he was the first time because you're just taking it all in the first time.
I saw it again on Saturday. I had the reverse reaction. I thought
really?
it's because I wasn't thinking about the time because I knew where things were. Okay? I wasn't thinking where are they going to go from here and how much time have they got left to do this. It actually seemed... It didn't seem as long the second time around.
All right, so you've seen it twice now. So
I've seen it twice.
That's an indicator that you thoroughly enjoyed it.
I think this movie's
say.
great. I can't say. I went into this movie with such low expectations, and I think it's awesome. I was. It's a very different Batman, but in some senses, it works better than any Batman that we've had before. I mean, this is the closest to like a real world Batman that we've ever seen.
I would agree with that.
Outfit,
And real
gear,
world villains.
The tactics that he uses, the fact that, I mean, for the most part, mostly he uses a motorcycle, which is a much better urban vehicle for, doing the things that he does. The inspiration, the books that they drew inspiration from this are my two favorite stories, and I could see those things both visually and tonally. It's very dark, no question about that.
Very dark.
But here's my thing, and I've said this for years. Bruce Wayne should be more effed up than he is. Okay, I mean this is a guy that watched his parents murdered in front of him and never got past that. So much that he's basically emotionally stuck at 12 years old, and he's living an entire life as a revenge fantasy. And this is that guy. I
read an article that somebody said, here's a Batman Bruce Wayne that's 2 years into this, and you already see the toll it's taking on it.
Oh, absolutely.
Which it would. I mean,
and this guy,
in the real world, it would.
It does. And every element of the costume is practical. all the elements of his vehicles are practical. Even the, working out of the urban environment, the subway, closed subway station underneath the Wayne Tower makes so much more sense than like driving out to the country,
13 miles to Gotham.
Exactly. It's again, everything I saw of this movie, I was just like, oh God. And I went in there and I was super, super impressed with it. I think he did a great job telling the story. He could have told the story in 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Totally.
For sure.
And
I actually wrote down that this could have been at least 30 minutes shorter.
It's very rare that you get the director's cut of the movie the first time, but I think that's what happened here. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I did like it, and I said, it's dark. It's long. And I wouldn't use the word slow. I would use it's very deliberate.
It's very deliberate.
Get that in say the first half hour, I get it. The first time you see Batman, the slow motion kind of thing, and he's walking slow and blah, blah. Fine. Once you've sort of established that, let's speed it up a little. And I don't think they did. Everything with him was a little deliberate. And that's where I can see them tightening this up.
I agree with that.
Yeah. But the thing is, this is a different Batman story than we've ever seen. This is a detective story. It's a police procedural kind of thing. And it had to, it kind of had to play out over time, and you kind of had to see things develop more. It was much less reactive than every other Batman film
I think that stuff is fine, but I do think the sort of slow.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you a second.
Once they established the tone of it, they could have cut a little bit of corners just to keep the movie going.
Dave, in the subway, the gang beating up that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice anything?
Yeah, the kid was from Titans.
Exactly. That's it was the kid who plays.
Well, who will be?
So will he be Robin in this universe, or is that was just a little throwaway?
I bet he will. What's his name? He's the next. He's got the same
Tim
name.
Drake.
Tim Drake.
But in this movie, he was billed as a train gang young member. That was his.
Well, this is a different universe.
This is a different universe. I think they just thought that was a kind of clever thing that he turns him away from that.
There was some cool stuff. Remember, we saw the Shakespeare bust in the back.
Of the Shakespeare bust was there
at one point, which was kind of cool.
All right, so you both said that you liked it, and I'm gonna just give you my quick opinion.
Go for it.
And I will say I enjoyed it, but I would argue that this movie was unnecessary. Like, I didn't feel like when it was over, I didn't feel like, I hope that this is a story that they keep telling. Like, it was an interesting take on Batman, definitely different, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't come away from it going, oh my god, I can't wait for the next installment. Like, maybe you did, Todd, but like, to me it was like, okay, another take on Batman, and I liked it, and I agree. It was nice to see him younger. It was nice to see him still figuring it out, but I didn't feel like this was the beginning of a franchise.
I could see this being a 3-movie arc. I could.
I don't think it sounds like it was trying to be, but I think it totally could be, because it is the beginning. I mean, geez, we got 2 Affleck, and I don't blame Affleck. I think he did a good job. I just think the writing was just poor.
Yeah, and I also I still look at this as like the successor to the Christian Bale films. I don't look at those as full-on Batman film. The previous two.
I'm with you. I agree with that.
Because he was part of something else, and that character was created to be part of something else. Mm-hmm. And so on that time frame, I can see what you're saying, Barry. Like, it's not needed. It has been 10 years since the last Nolan.
No,
Batman
I know,
film.
since a standalone Batman.
And
film.
that's how I look at that. And the other thing too is this is a Batman universe. This is not a shared universe. This is not. We're not going to see the Flash show up. We're not going to see, and that's where Batman works best.
Right.
It's
The other thing that I would say is that while I enjoyed the characterization of Bruce Wayne and Batman, although I didn't think that there was enough Bruce Wayne to counterbalance Batman, it was like very Batman heavy. I did not personally like this iteration of the Riddler. I just didn't.
This was very very Hush. The character Hush was kind of fused with him, even to the point where I thought he was going to be an Elliot because the murdered reporter's last name was Elliot, and Tommy Elliot was Hush, and I think they kind of merged those two characters together somewhat. Yeah, this is very not the Riddler,
but I think it's funny. Even trying to even go back to the Christian Bale, I do think, and it's a different choice. I'm not. I don't know which version I like. Even in if the Nolan Batmans are the most serious, even the villains in that, I felt like they all took a cue a bit from the Adam West Batman. I mean, I know the Heath Ledger thing, but this larger than life, sort of overly flamboyant, there was a little of that in him, and that to me still takes a little bit of a cue back from Cesar Romero, whether that was comedy and Heath Ledger was much more serious, but there still was elements. Certainly with the Jack Nicholson, the freaking Joel Schumacher, the villains were just cartoons, and this one was, this was real life. I mean, these are just super deranged serial killer who's, that I felt like grounded the whole thing.
Yeah. I agree that conceptually that was a good idea. I didn't feel like it worked, and I certainly didn't like the parts where he had the mask, that weird mask on.
I think it totally worked for what they were trying to do.
Yeah,
they were trying to make some guy who was a realistic serial killer.
Maybe if they weren't calling him the Riddler, because I also didn't. I mean, I get that he left those cards and there were some riddles there, but it just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't work for me as the Riddler.
You're looking for Frank Gorshin in tights. I hear you. I'm with you.
Jim Carrey.
Or Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey was awful.
Someone,
oh my God, so awful.
Like 3 rows back from me, the second time I watched it, said, "I liked the Riddler better when it was Drew Carey," and I was like.
That's funny.
I was just like, oh God.
Well, you guys also know, I mean, I'm not as invested in the whole Batman thing as you guys are, but like, I liked it. I'm glad I saw it.
But this is a departure from most of that. That's the thing. I mean, I think I don't think we've had villains that, I mean, even like you look at Bane and you look at all the villains in even the Nolan one were still very cartoony, or somewhat cartoony. This, they weren't at all.
No.
I'll agree with that, and
I think that grounded. I mean, this is the most believable Batman.
This is a real world Batman. This is a disturbed guy in a bat suit who just coincidentally happens to be very good at fighting criminals, and so the police tolerate him, or some police do because of that.
That was one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
What's that?
When Gordon brings him into the crime scene and all the cops are like, "What the hell is he doing here?" Oh my God!
But it was perfect. Again, he's Sherlock Holmes. He's the guy that the police resent, don't want to work with, but he's a freaking criminal genius, and they bring him in there, and he's great at that stuff.
Well, but they only brought him in because the cards were addressed to him.
Well, I
don't think they would have brought him in.
But Gordon trusted him.
Gordon knew to bring him in because Gordon knew that. Okay, they could have sent him a fax.
But I wish they played that up, and I know they did. There was one scene when who was dead, the mayor or some guy, and he's in the room, and he's like, "Check this, check that." I wish they were trying to really make him I wish they played that up more.
I did like when the Penguin said, was basically laughing at them, said, "You're supposed to be the world's greatest detective." Which is something they hung on Batman for years, but it's never been referenced in the Batman movies. A lot of little things I really liked, like the bat signal being on top of a random building that Gordon went to and turned it on, because as opposed to being it's like you can't be disavowing Batman but happen to have the bat signal on top of police headquarters. It makes no sense, and they've done that for years. And so I thought that was good. I do not understand why Martha Kane's name was changed to Martha Arkham. That was odd.
I guess they were just trying to show that the Waynes were, Waynes and the Arkhams were like the ancestral families of Gotham City.
But that's always been the story with Martha. Her. I mean, she was named after Bob Kane, but yeah, she was also supposed to be one of the founding families of Gotham, and I guess this was a shortcut to getting there. It's much less egregious than locating Metropolis across the bay or any of the things they've done, previously. It was just, and that was one of the minor points. I will say one of the things that I really liked about this movie, and has not been the case with any Batman to date, is I didn't look at Batman and see Bruce Wayne. Okay? I mean, the shape of the cowl does a really good job at changing the shape of his face, the way it's set and everything. That actor did not jump out at me when I looked at Batman in costume. Whereas Christian Bale, he kind of, you could see feature, there's things there. The others,
it was dark. It was
much more obvious. But I'm saying the costume
too.
Served him really well. In addition to being armored, the neck, the kind of having a regular neck where he could turn his head and actually have full range of motion, but then having like the neck guard thing made perfect sense. Basically he's wearing like riot gear, and it was a perfect real world costume. But like I said, it bulked him up so much that you didn't see, when you looked at Bruce Wayne and you looked at Batman, you didn't make that leap.
Well, and I love that he puts the black makeup on around his eyes, and then when he takes it off,
they've always not done.
Yeah, I mean, he really looked emo, and
but
exactly the way
it also
you would
worked.
expect a young Bruce Wayne to look.
I thought that guy did a good job. I've never seen Twilight or anything he's
I've
been
seen him
in.
a couple things. I was dubious. I'm sorry, Barry.
It's funny how I think most people have been good Batmans. Some just were, just had horrible movies to deal with.
To what Barry said
no
previously,
one's really been a horrible Batman.
There was a lot less Bruce Wayne in this, I think, than any of the other. Probably, I think so. Anyways, I think there was a lot more Batman in this and less Bruce Wayne. And someone made the observation years ago that the difference between Batman and Superman is Clark Kent is Superman's alter ego, and Bruce Wayne and Batman is Bruce Wayne's alter ego. It's like Batman is who he really is. Bruce Wayne is the mask, and whereas
I think that's true.
Yeah. And we saw that very much here. I thought Andy Serkis did a good job.
Yeah, I was a little wary of him because I think Michael Caine did a good job, and even Jeremy Irons was good, but he definitely did a good job.
I was just going to say that I liked what they did with the Penguin, and I liked that he was more of sort of a crime boss and less of like a deformed creature or whatever. But Colin Farrell, I mean, I know there's a ton of makeup there. I had no idea that was him until somebody said it after the fact.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah Paulson wears a fat suit to play Linda Tripp, okay, for the Monica Lewinsky thing, and like has to publicly apologize for that and gets called out by everybody in the world, okay? Aren't there a bunch of fat, hideous actors, male actors, that are offended because Colin Farrell wore a fat suit and a bunch of scars? I mean, it's like...
Yeah, I don't know.
Where are those lines?
Obviously he
understand.
disappeared under all of the makeup, but like I had no idea that was even him. I hadn't read that he was in it even, so I had no idea.
I had read it, but I totally forgot it until I saw the credits. So.
I enjoyed that characterization of the Penguin, so much more than what we saw in Batman Returns.
Cartoon characters,
and that's the thing. And this is kind of who the Penguin has morphed into. He's like a gang leader, but he still had the kind of weird physical things that Danny DeVito interjected to it. And hopefully they'll move past that, because this was actually a good characterization. And I liked it. So we haven't talked about Selena Kyle at all.
I was wary of her
again,
at first.
Likewise.
But I thought she did a good job. I mean, I thought it was going to... I don't know what I thought it was going to be. Too young and hip and Kim Kardashian-ish. I don't even know what that means. But I think she was very much
her acting
along
chops
the lines.
Were good. I think that she did a great job in the role. I didn't necessarily feel Catwoman from her. If she didn't have the hat with the little bumps where the ears might have been.
It's like...
they really tried to make real.
They downplayed it. Yeah,
right. They did. They downplayed it, and this is but this is very much the year. I just sent you guys a couple pictures. This is very much, now I did. This is very much Catwoman Selena Kyle from Batman Year One, right down to the outfit. Okay, I mean, she wears exactly this outfit. She's got the same hairstyle. She wears wigs and changes her look rapidly. They did the family connection thing with Carmen Falcone from The Long Halloween. They just tied all these different pieces of mythology from different people in together really, really nicely.
And I think that's fine to do.
Yeah,
you
that
can't
was good.
just,
You know what's interesting is the her walking up the stairs to the woman in the coat in the raincoat and wearing the same boots walking up the stairs, which turned out not to be her. There's multiple pictures of that scene with it being her. Because the on-set photos have her in that outfit standing in the stairs talking to Bruce Wayne.
That's interesting.
So for some reason they changed that scene. Or that was just all misdirection, but I can't see why.
Or maybe they shot her so that it would look as much like her as possible, but then they had a different actress.
And then they swapped a different actress in there for this
sense.
because they wanted her walk, and they want that's a really good point, Barry, because it's they're behind the scenes photos of them standing around, and she's on the stairs with the outfit and stuff. No, that's probably what it was.
That makes sense that they would do that. Yeah, I thought she was good. It all was so much more real world than anything we've seen before, and I appreciated that. I mean, I got what they were going for. So, just a general question on, and I know we've had 2 Marvel movies that have been close to 3 hours, or one was 3 hours, but do superhero movies need to be 3 hours long? I mean, just in general. I know we've had a 4-hour long one recently, but come on,
totally didn't need to be 4 hours.
No, like this could have been a super tight 220.
I totally agree with that.
I don't mind it as much as you guys do, but it's a really long freaking movie. I think they did a great job with it. I think that they did a good job world building. I think establishing all the characters. I think Jeffrey Wright was great. Having seen it twice, I have a hard time trying to figure out what scenes they could take out, other than that they just lingered a lot. There was a lot of.
That's what I think
a lot of linking that could have been tightened up.
You could get it down to you take the credits out, it's 2:45. Then you cut you can get it down to 2:35 probably, with just sort of tightening scenes.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I listened to an interview with the director. I don't know, over the weekend. The Batmobile jumping through the fire, that was actually shot practically, and they actually had Colin Farrell reacting to it in real time. What's ironic is the rain was CGI.
Yeah,
but all of the actual motion of the cars and everything was 100%. And he said that they had an earpiece in Colin Farrell, and the director was telling him when to react. They only shot it twice. They actually got it on the first take and did a second take as coverage. I was blown away by that, because that was one of the best scenes.
Oh, that was amazing. And again, a lot of this stuff was just, I think it's beautifully directed. I think, I'm still having a hard time placing it within the Batman films, but I think it's probably one of the better directed Batman films, if not the best directed one. There's some iconic, the walking towards the upside down shot of him walking towards the car.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's fantastic. Yeah. There's 2 or 3 things in there that just jump out.
Well, the hallway scene too, where it's totally dark except for the bullets ricocheting off of his
that was cool.
That was great.
And they said they did that practically too. That was all real in camera.
It's there's a lot of stuff like that just is really impressive, and I think on the second viewing I picked up even more of those kind of things, and
the sound design too. And Barry and I saw it. Did we mention this last week, or we told you guys? We saw it in this Warner Media
Screening
Theater
room.
that had speakers under everyone's seats. I mean, the sound was just amazing, especially the cars chase scene. The sound of that engine, just the whole freaking room.
And it's a very dynamic soundtrack, right? From the very quiet moments to the incredibly loud moments and everything in between. But it was great. I mean, I like, that's what it's like. I don't want to come across like I didn't like the movie. I actually really liked it. I don't know that it's something I'm going to go back to time and time again, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do to make this, a series of films now. I mean, obviously, I guess we're going to
could do anything.
Going to get the Joker next because they teed that up at the very end.
I don't think we're.
He has claimed.
I don't think we're going to be honest with you.
He said in a thing I read in the Hollywood Reporter that the cameo whatever you want to call it, had Joker. He does not expect to make a movie.
There is a cut scene that we're going to see because he said he's going to release it. It's a kind of Silence of the Lambs thing where he goes and talks to the Joker, trying to get in the head of the Riddler. Okay, and he said it's a great scene. He said, but the movie, they just, when they got done, they didn't need it, and they,
so he does know how to cut out scenes then.
So he does that, and his thing was, and this was, and for director to be this conscious of this, he's like, they just gave an Academy Award to a guy for playing the Joker. Okay, he said Heath Ledger was an absolutely brilliant Joker. We just don't need to go there again right now. So they had the little, he's unseen patient. That's what he's listed as. He's clearly the Joker. But I love that little tease there. If we never see him,
I agree with that.
It's fine. And I think it was a great little, here's a piece of this universe, okay, without just being really in your face with it. And I think, I respect that line that he drew with it. I do want to see the other scene because visually I want to see, how he presents. But, but again, like I said.
Well, I guess that's like the death of the Waynes. Like you just don't. I mean, and he even said in the interview that I heard, he's like, we've seen it a million times. There's nothing I can do to do that better or different than it's been done. I don't need to see the pearls bouncing off the concrete. Right. And he's like, I just didn't want to go there, and I was glad that wasn't part of the movie.
And I agree. And you know what? That scene is on Robert Pattinson's face every time you see him with the mask off, okay? Because he never stops seeing it. You don't have to. I mean, this was a very tortured, Bruce Wayne that just is never going to get past that moment. And when he's Batman, he can be somebody else. And when he's Batman, he can,
he's definitely the most messed up Bruce Wayne.
And so is it in the Batman lore that his parents or his father wasn't as virtuous as...
They've gone up to that line several times. The scene that Carmen Falcone talked about with being brought to Thomas Wayne and Thomas Wayne doing basically illegal surgery on him and saving his life, because he didn't report it, is right out of Long Halloween, and it was adapted in the animated Long Halloween that they just came out with a few months ago. And so that they referenced a scene from the comics as having been, in that universe. So it's kind of a neat tie-in. It's interesting. They're releasing a slip-cased cover with the Batman movie poster on the cover with the Long Halloween and Year One, those two books together.
Oh wow!
With a third book that's also Batman Ego, which is kind of a psychological thing with Batman, but. Which delves into his psyche a little bit. So I've never seen him do that before. Just straight up acknowledge what the inspirations were. Right down to think about this. This starts on Halloween, so they didn't follow the Long Halloween, but day one of this thing was thing. And I will say one of my favorite ththings right out of the chute because, and I've said this a bunch of times, probably the thing that irritated me most about the Christian Bale movies was the voice. I cringed all the time. And the moment when he said, "I'm vengeance," I was like, okay, this is going to be all right. The point that he said that, and it just wasn't that forced voice, and it wasn't the, kind of constipated sound. It was just, I was like, yeah, okay.
Well, one of the problems I've always had with the concept of this character is that, and you touched on it, in previous incarnations, it's like, how can you not tell that that's Bruce Wayne? Like, you can see so much of the face. What I liked in this, too, and again, maybe this is just my ignorance on the Batman lore, but they were basically saying, like, he's reclusive, he never comes out. So, like, people don't even know that much what he looks like, let alone like, with the cowl on.
You can't be the playboy man about town kind of devil-may-care guy and then, do this other, and it's like, this is more realistic in that sense. And he's a reclusive guy that has a ton of money and does not really resemble Batman, and it works. Has some cool cars, but
yeah, I do like that there were two different scenes where he says to somebody, "Do you know who I am?" Once dressed as Batman and once
yes,
as Bruce
yeah,
Wayne.
yeah. I thought that was great.
Cool.
I thought that was great, and again, I like I said, I had low expectations on this film, and I walked out of there hugely surprised. I'll say I watched it in my little local theater. They could not get the movie to start. They put the unlock code in because I guess there's an unlock code that you have to, because you can't play it before a certain time. Well, it was past that time. They put the unlock code in and it was invalid, and they had to call. They had to call the studio and get a new code. I ended up seeing it an hour and 5 minutes after it was supposed to start.
But
God, they came out and they explained what was going on. They gave us snacks.
How late into the night was this?
Oh no, I was going to 6 o'clock movie and it started at 7:05.
All right,
but
I was going to say with a 3-hour movie starting an hour late can be
it wasn't that big
torture.
deal. But like I said, they came down. They told us what was going on. They said we're going to get this worked out, but we're going to have people come down and get you whatever snacks you want, and they did. And they just gratis just said, "Oh,
nice.
what'd you like?" And they went and got it, and it was very cool. But yeah, I was like, so it was 4 hours for me, sitting in that theater chair.
And you went back 2 days later to see it again.
I went back 2 days later, and I got to say, like I said, I think I liked it more the second time because I didn't feel I actually did the movie justice on the first viewing because I went in there with such an attitude. We're like, okay, well, I've seen every Batman film. I'm gonna see this one too, and I will tell you, I'm not going to say where it fits in the kind of whole Batman thing because I haven't got that worked out in my head yet. But this is the best first film of an incarnation of Batman.
Wow, but we like Batman Begins.
I like Batman Begins a lot, but it takes a hell of a long time to get started.
But what's your favorite Nolan movie? Is it the middle one?
It's still Batman Begins. It is, but it's because I the middle one, Dark Knight, that to me is Empire Strikes Back. It's not a standalone film. It's a cliffhanger. It starts with all this stuff pre-established. It just, that's why I can't score that as high as everybody else does. But I think for clean sheet of paper starting out, this does a better job.
There is a lot of baggage in the beginning.
And boy, it's a slow going getting into, because I've rewatched that several times. And I like it. I like the story. They're the first people to tell that story, but it's this jumping right into the action and getting going the way it does, and again, we were starting with year 2, so it's a different way, but yeah. So, but again, I haven't got place figured out. It may.
I think it takes another watching. I'd love if you've seen it in the theaters, you should be able to watch it at home.
Yeah,
and not have to wait.
I don't think we're gonna have to wait too long to get it on HBO Max.
Yeah,
another month or so, maybe.
I would bet we're not going to see it before.
It's making money.
Not going to see it before end of May. So.
I just got Ghostbusters, and that wasn't that long. I got the 4K. Because I don't know that'll show up on something, but I also like no matter how good your streaming is, I'd rather watch it on a 4K Blu-ray than streaming service.
Oh, I agree. I mean, the 4K streaming services, the video is still compressed quite a bit. So
yeah. I'll buy the Spider-Man movie too, I think. Well, I have all the 23 others, so why not have that too?
Exactly.
But I would buy this. I mean, Well, I guess 3 thumbs up. I mean, some more up than others. Barry, the optimist, probably likes it the least, which is interesting.
Yeah, you know what? It's not that I didn't like it. I mean, I want to be clear. I liked the movie. I just, it didn't walk out going, "Oh my God, I can't wait for the next installment." And
you were very much that way.
I don't think I walked out of any of the
very much that way
like
to begin with, though, Barry. You were saying you didn't think it was time for another Batman film yet. And
right, and I wasn't planning to see it.
I
wasn't planning to see it in the theater, so I'm glad I got to see it, and I'm glad I got to go with you, Dave, and that was fun. But if I had to wait to see it at home, I'm glad I saw it in the way I did because everything's better on a big screen with a crazy great sound system. So,
but I also feel like this was more. I don't think we've had a Batman movie since the Dark Knight Returns or whatever that one, the third Nolan movie.
Yep.
I mean, we've seen Batman in stuff, but like you guys said, those were not Batman movies.
Right.
So
I would still love to see a standalone Ben Affleck Batman movie. I know it's not going to happen.
I would have also
never going to happen.
But it's not going to happen. It's.
But you know what? We also said we'd never see the Zack Snyder cut. So who knows? Maybe.
Oh God! We also never thought we were going to see Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man again. Right. So
Affleck, I think, is moved on. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just read they said there's
but...
going to be 45 days between the theatrical release and HBO Max.
Really?
So
that's not that long.
They had said that they would do that with all their movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting. Anyway, well, let us know what you think if you've seen it, Daryl. Let us know when you see it.
Yep.
Brian, did he seem excited? He didn't seem like he even knew it was coming out at last.
Yeah, he was kind of like, I got to go get tickets.
Crept up on him.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So we'll see what everyone else has to say. I don't know why I'm asking. Any last thoughts?
I'm just going to throw out a quick, very random thing, but last night we watched the Steven Spielberg West Side Story. Also a very long movie. Not
Is
quite
it
as
really?
long as Batman.
So
yeah, it was
I didn't
2
feel
hours
like
and 40 minutes.
I was ready for another West Side Story.
I did. It's been 50 years. It's
just too soon. It's just
too soon. I agree with that.
But the thing I wanted to mention, which I just thought was funny, was, obviously I've seen the original, and I know the original well enough to know the basic beats of the movie. We watched it with my son Joey, who, is a movie kid and loves Spielberg or whatever, and has no idea what the story is. And when it ends, he's like, I thought it was going to be a happier ending. I'm like, no, dude, it's like basically Romeo and Juliet.
It is Romeo and Juliet.
Tragic.
Yes.
And read Romeo and Juliet.
So he was a little bummed out that it ended on such a downer, but
maybe I'll watch it. I mean,
very
I'm trying to make a list
done.
of stuff I want to see.
For what it is. Again, I'm not saying that movie needed to be remade.
Totally indifferent about.
Very well done and beautifully, beautifully shot. So
it's a musical still, though, right?
Oh yeah, it's the same songs. It's everything. It's just some of the situations, some of the scenes that things take place are different. There's a little bit more added to it, and the cinematography and everything is
fewer
just
white
amazing.
people playing Hispanics.
Yes, much fewer.
Hopefully we don't have too much of that.
Yep.
So good.
They should have one
worth checking out if you have any interest at all. I'm not sitting here going, everybody's got to watch this, but it's been a while since I heard Officer Krupke, so I was happy.
There you go. Sounds good. Okay, we're gonna be. I'll tell you now. We're gonna be off next week, just so you know, because there's some other stuff going on. But
we'll be back with stuff to talk about. Picard's
out. We've all watched the first episode.
Yeah, we are giving you plenty of time to catch up on the first couple of episodes of Picard before we start to talk about it. So there's no excuses there. And I wonder, by the time when we record again, is Discovery going to be wrapped, or is there? Seems like it's going on forever.
So this is interesting. I know we're past last thoughts, but this is the first time in a hell of a long time that 2 Star Trek shows have been airing concurrently.
2 new Star Treks are on at the same time.
It is what?
Live action.
Voyager, the last season of Deep Space Nine and Voyager, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And something like that.
Yeah, there was overlap there. That was the last.
So we'll talk about Picard for sure, and maybe we'll continue to trash Discovery. Who knows?
Maybe we'll say it's great. I don't know.
Maybe it'll end strong.
Ooh, sorry. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. I'm vengeance.